Welcome to the Youth Discipleship Podcast. I'm your host, Miles Mapp, also known as Mapp the Disciple. In this episode, it's going to be a really tough topic. I'm going to show you a graphic video just letting you know, viewers discretion advised. It's about a bishop that is assaulted, and it happened about a week or so ago. So I just want to let you know and give you a heads up.
الدرسن تخوى اشقيلو قمتريشا
to reconsider these rules, which are absolutely out of limits.
Welcome to the Youth Discipleship Podcast. I'm your host, Miles Mapp, also known as Mapp the Disciple. On this episode, I'm here with Devin. How you doing, Devin?
What's going on?
So on this podcast episode, our fifth one, by the way, most podcasts actually don't even get past episode 1, and on top of that, episode 3. So,
all right, exciting stuff.
Yeah. On this topic, we're going to talk about righteous anger, and the event that just happened on April 15th. In Australia, the Bishop Mari just got stabbed. Mm-hmm. So for those that don't know who Bishop Mari is, let's just fill him in real quick. Bishop Mari is an Assyrian bishop from Australia, and he was suspended from the ancient Church of East in 2014, and he left and made his church in 2015. And after that, there was a attack that was classified as a terrorist attack in Australia that happened. A 16-year-old Muslim boy came into the church, listened for a little while, and then he stabbed the bishop, went on the pulpit and stabbed the bishop. And after that, the church congregation got him down. He stabbed I think it was about 5 people from what I read. Ended up stabbing about 5 people. And hopefully the bishop is okay. And after that, this is actually the biggest part of the topic. There was a riot going on, and they destroyed police property. They destroyed cars. They were jumping on top of cars. They threw ladders at the church. Mm-hmm. How counterproductive is that? That doesn't help anybody. Mm-hmm. So one question I have for you, Devin, is: do you believe in people having righteous anger?
Yeah. Yeah, I believe that people can have righteous anger. I think it's very difficult to fit in that category as a flawed human being, but I think you can, yeah.
What you said on it being difficult is most definitely difficult, because you can get on top of a high horse and you can end up being like your own judge, like self-righteous in a way. And that's a problem that most Christians do have, self-righteousness, thinking that you are righteous, but no one is righteous.
Right.
No one truly is righteous. We can pursue righteousness, but nobody is truly righteous. And I think from that judgment, we have to judge according to the word of God. Mm-hmm. And when they started to riot and all those things, that was counterproductive. That didn't help anybody. That actually that. I'm going to roll the clip in a minute, but they said an eye for an eye. Mm-hmm. Jesus doesn't say an eye for an eye.
Well, he says, I mean, yeah, he kind of pulls back on that. So, yeah.
What are the parameters to righteous anger? What would actually qualify for righteous anger?
I think righteous anger at the core, it has to be about God. A person can only be or only have righteous anger when their problem is God is being defamed or his people are being defamed or tortured or whatever, persecuted. So it has that has to be the stem. It can't be, I mean, like I said, it's a super difficult topic. If there's an injustice, this is what I'll say, bubble it up like this. If there's an injustice that God calls unjust, then you can be angry about it and it be justifiable anger or righteous anger.
So overly, most definitely, godly motivation for starters. So what I believe what you just said, direct and true injustice. Like something has to happen to you. You can't just be, you can't say if you stole one of my socks or took one of my socks without me knowing it, then I find out. I can't, like, that righteous anger for what? He borrowed one of my socks. Maybe he didn't ask me about it, but he borrowed one of my socks. It's not something I shouldn't rebuke you for taking one of my socks.
Okay. Yeah. It would be foolish to get really upset about something so insignificant. But
maybe if it was one of the last pairs of socks I had, that might be a different thing.
Well, Jesus said if someone asks for, what is it, like a tunic, give them the shirt off your back as well or something like that. So
true.
Maybe you should be offering your last pair of socks according to Jesus.
Yeah.
But yeah.
And it also needs a proportionate response too. So what I mean by that, in Ephesians 4:26, in your anger, do not sin.
Mm-hmm.
Who are some of the people that sinned in their anger? What, like, you went beyond what you're supposed to do. You went over righteous anger. You did actually the opposite, unrighteous anger.
Uh-huh.
So one of the people I remember is Peter.
Okay.
When he drew his sword and cut, I think it was Malchus' servant. He cut his ear off and Jesus had to heal his ear, right? When he did that, it was out of anger, most definitely, because he didn't want them to take his rabbi away, his friend, his best friend, his God, in a sense, right? So when he did that, Jesus said, what was it? Whoever
lives by the sword dies by the sword type thing.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
So when it comes to that, we can also relate it to Bishop Mari's situation. So what they did when they were rioting, when they were saying an eye for an eye, and to bring out the 16-year-old, what they were basically doing was saying, I'm going to kill this person. They were most likely going to kill that person, or they're going to beat him to like a pulp, a 16-year-old kid. So,
here's the thing. This is why it's so difficult to fit a human being inside of this righteous anger category, is because we're so flawed, we're so arrogant, we're so self-centered, that it's really hard for a human being not to get mad because of their personal involvement in it.
Right.
Or the feelings that they have personally. This is Jesus's, because one would say an eye for an eye is biblical. That is in the Bible, and it is. It's in the Old Testament for sure.
But that's taken out of context.
It would be taken out of context, but Jesus puts it in his proper context when he speaks to them on the Sermon on the Mount, in the Sermon on the Mount, and he says, you have heard that it was said, this is Matthew 5, verse 38. You have heard that it was said, an eye for an eye, tooth for a tooth. But I tell you, do not resist an evil person. If anyone slaps you on your right cheek, turn to them the other cheek also. And if anyone wants to sue you and take your shirt, this is what I was just referring to, hand over your coat as well. If anyone forces you to go 1 mile, go with them 2. Give to the one who asks you, and do not turn away from the one who wants to borrow from you. So that whole notion of an eye for an eye, like those people chanting that, meaning you stabbed Mari, so now you must be stabbed, is totally backwards according to the gospel. If anything, they should. I heard that he actually got hurt too.
Yep, because his 2 fingers got cut.
Right. So take the example of Peter cutting off the high priest's servant's ear. That man came to arrest Jesus, right? Came to do harm to Jesus. Later does do harm to him. He gets his ear cut off and Jesus heals him and then tells this guy, put your sword back, right? Now relate that to this Mari situation, and what a Christian or Jesus-like response would have been would be, let's tend to Mari, but don't let this boy suffer as well. Care for his wounds, and we'll take him to justice through the justice system. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
The eye for an eye thing, it doesn't work in line with Jesus. So it honestly, as I looked at a lot of this stuff, it really rubbed me the wrong way for many reasons. But I'm sure as time goes on, we'll talk in detail about some of the things that they did. But these people definitely, to me, I feel upset at how these people handled it with the name Christian on their side. It really messes things up.
I felt the same way when I watched those videos. So especially when they were throwing ladders at the church to get inside, like, whoa, that's so counterproductive.
Yeah. How
are you going to, get Mari out of the hospital, out of the building, and then transport him to the hospital if you guys are rioting? If you guys are jumping on the police cars and acting a fool.
Yeah.
And I know there was people that weren't even really a part of the church that were just doing stuff. And people that were most definitely probably there and were just, well, they're rioting, so I'm going to riot. They're acting crazy, so I'm going to act crazy. Okay, this seems fun. I'm going to do this too. And that's not how we should act. Honestly, I'm going to get bold here and say that's embarrassing. That's I would feel if I was in that church congregation, if I was one of those people that attended that church, and then I knew some church members that were doing those things, that were jumping on the police cars, that were screaming and yelling, an eye for an eye, bring the kid out, I would be embarrassed. I would are you crazy?
Yeah, man. It was wild to me. There's a passage also in the Sermon on the Mount that kind of helps me put everything into its proper context, I believe, and to have compassion and understanding that people don't truly follow Christ all the time, even though they might be saying that they are. And it's in Matthew 7. He says, not everyone who says to me, Lord, Lord, will enter the kingdom of heaven, but only those who do the will of my Father. And in that, he says, many will say to me on that day, didn't we drive out demons? Didn't we heal people? Didn't we prophesy in your name? And Jesus will tell them plainly, away from me, I never knew you, right? The reality is that, and I don't want to call down judgment from afar,
right,
when I don't know these people's lives. But when things get difficult or things don't go your way, it really shows who you are on the inside. So in this tragedy and this scary situation, this guy gets stabbed. They wrap up the boy, got him on the ground. And the clip that I saw, the guy's slapping him in the face. He's already bloodied up. He's slapping him in the face while he's already down, right? If a police were doing that in America to a black man, it would be a whole different story. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. That's police brutality. He's not resisting. Why are you hitting him? This boy wasn't resisting. Why are you hitting him? And then he's swearing at him. You know what I mean? Like, and the people around him are swearing at him, cursing. It's like, but you were in the church pew before this happened? This situation really brought out your true character, right, and who you really are and who you really follow. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. So, point is, there were people who were there who are probably completely sincere in their faith. And they responded in the right way. I saw people praying for him as well. Right. You know, that's the proper response. And then there's these other guys who are slapping and cursing the boy. Right. It's ridiculous. I
can see why they would do that, though. They were angry. If I was in, okay, if the person that has taught me about my faith, that has helped me build my faith, mm-hmm, and there's this random person that nobody knows comes in there and tries to take his life, I would be furious. I wouldn't be surprised if I was furious, but in that anger, you cannot like act out. And I don't want to come act like I'm on a high horse, like I'm like so above this. If it's a possibility, even I would act like that. I don't know. Mm-hmm. I'm not in that situation. But for the people that are watching this, we have to take into account that we cannot do this. Let's just make this an example. Let's just make this as an example. We cannot do this again. If someone else gets stabbed, we cannot act like this. This is not the right way to retaliate. Honestly, it would be better for us to speak out against, like, make it known. Is this the so-called peace religion? Is this the so-called righteous religion that knows that's so much better? Mm-hmm. Look what they did. Mm-hmm. This person just like stabbed somebody else. Mm-hmm. Not saying that there are Christians that don't do things, right? But this man openly came on a live stream, on a pulpit, and just stabbed him. Mm-hmm. And it haven't done anything wrong, but in their laws, right? I'm pretty sure if someone speaks out against the Prophet Muhammad, mm-hmm, they're able to do that. So in his mind, he didn't do anything wrong. In his religion, he didn't do anything wrong. Right. So in his perspective, he's okay. He's right. Uh-huh. I did what I was supposed to do. But if we looked at this from an outside lens, on either side, who did right in that situation? You just stabbed somebody. Dude. Mm-hmm. There's no way your common sense alarm, I'm supposed to stab somebody if they say some words. I'm supposed to try to kill this person. Right. How does that make sense? Yeah. Yeah. I mean, the boy was definitely in the wrong. There's no question about it. Right. He did something evil. He did something wicked. And even if you take, and the media did this as well, and they always do it. And I think they make it all about the religions, which this case, it does seem like it was a religious response. This guy defamed the prophet. This guy's Muslim. He attacked that man who's a Christian. All those things come into play. But if we strip away those two things, this man is a Christian, this man is a Muslim, and we just put two, whatever you want to do, two atheists, two non-believers of anything, and one walks up and stabs the other, it's still a wrong. Right. Right? The media is hyping it all up through the religious lens. But regardless, it's a wrong act, and he should be
prosecuted for it. He's not a little boy who didn't know what he was doing. He's 16 years old. He knew what he was doing. Right. So, yeah, but
he would have had to plan that out. He would have had to, all right, I'm going to go get the knife. I'm going to walk into this church. He walks into the church. He sits down. He waits for the perfect opportunity to go, like, I'm going to go kill this person. And he goes up there, and then he, like, after, like, I don't know if you saw this, but while he was on the ground, they had, like, a portion of his face open, and he was smiling. Blood coming out of his mouth, smiling. Yeah.
I don't know how deep you want to go into it or whatever, but a lot of this is spiritual warfare, man. Right. The devil's doing what he can to distract people from getting closer to Jesus. And when if that man did it with the name Jesus attached to his persona, it would be evil, and I would be like, man, that's a demonic move. So I'm not saying because he's a part of a different religion that it was a demonic move. I think just inherently that was a real demonic move, like possession type stuff. You know what I mean? It takes something real dark to be over you, to be willing and ready to kill a man. So,
especially at 16 years old, what are you doing with a knife, coming in, like, planning that out? Like, I'm gonna go kill this person. How can you do that at 16 years old? What type of mindset? What type of people do you have to be around?
Yeah.
To, like, okay, yeah. Go ahead.
Well,
who has to sanction that, or somebody has to have, like, noticed, like, a change in this dude? There's no way.
With all that, you got to be careful, man. Right? We live in Racine, Wisconsin. I know several 16 and under who've been shot or have shot, right? So it is an environmental thing, but it's not just his environment, is what I'm saying.
True.
As well. And it's a problem that only Jesus can fix, right? True humility before God, our creator, because, like I said, this is some real dark stuff that we're dealing with. But I mean, I was at the football game this past football season, and they had to shut the whole thing down because 3 blocks away, a kid got, like, literally someone just walked up and shot a kid in the face.
That's demonic, bro.
You know what I mean? So he's not the only 16-year-old that's just, whacked out, doing things that, just doing the devil's bidding. And maybe it's because they're willing and ready for themselves, but a lot of times it's just the environment grooming them, and dark forces getting a hold on people, man.
Yeah, but I think that does come from the religion, though, because in the religion it tells you to kill Christians. If it even says if a Muslim decides to convert to Christianity, kill him. So if your book is telling you to go kill people, genuinely, like, oh, these people, kill them. If they don't adhere to Islamic law, kill. That's nothing but the devil. There's no way you could see that as righteous at all.
Yeah. There would be, and rightfully so. And I'm not saying that we should adhere to it, but it would be easy for a person to come back and says, your Bible says, if you're faithful to Yahweh and you choose another God after that you should be stoned and your people should kill you. So, and that's, I just preached about it the other day. It's out of Deuteronomy. Now, there's deeper reasons as to why that was communicated, and it's no longer the case now through Christ.
So for those people that are curious about that might be thinking about, okay, what does the Bible say? And then they might hear that and read that passage and be like, you guys are just as bad.
Yeah.
So let's go into that. Let's debunk that thought real quick. I've never read Deuteronomy.
Yeah, it's easy. It doesn't mean that people will accept it, but it is easy. It was all preventative. These laws that communicate these harsh capital punishments that we would consider harsh capital punishment was put in place so that people wouldn't do what was wrong. So I'll give you an example. In that same area, there's a passage that says if a son is rebellious, like if me and my wife, we do have a son. If he grows up and he's rebellious, we're supposed to bring him to the elders of the city, present him to them, and stone him to death. And people would say that's evil. Why would you stone your little kid like that? Right? For not listening to you, for breaking a toy or blah, 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 blah. That's not what's going on. In the context of that passage, it says he's a drunkard. You ever known a 4 or 5 year old to be a drunkard? Mm-mm. No, this is a grown man that we're talking about, right? So he lived a rebellious life. And afterwards, after trying to bring him forward, like repent, and he won't, he's rebellious. Now there's extreme punishment. So why is that punishment there? The punishment was not just to start stoning people's children. We actually have no examples of that in the scriptures at all, of ever happening. It was preventative, meaning I'm going to do everything I can to keep my son from being rebellious because I know the consequences of his life if he is. Not only that, but because Miles cares about me and cares about my family, if my son is being rebellious, he's going to let me know, right? Or he's going to try to help my son. And it builds a community that allows people to walk the right way, right? Where we're all looking out for one another because we understand the consequences of if we fall astray. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
I hope so.
I want to even debunk even further. Somebody might say, well, how do you know that that's not the exact same thing with the Muslims? How do you know that? Well, if they say, if a Muslim converts to Christianity, mm-hmm. Wouldn't they do that? Wouldn't they try to love each other and make a stronger community?
Yeah. So great question. It would be, I don't think I know enough about the Muslim religion to say that this is exactly what happens. But from my understanding, it's because you stepped out of the faith and entered something else, right? And it's more of an attack on what you have become just because you're not this anymore. Whereas if you, in the past, in the scriptures, if you chose these other gods that God said, if you choose them, I'm going to stone you, it led to big consequences, which is, again, preventative. So these other gods that if you worship them, it was a death sentence, was because in those religions, you sacrifice children. In those religions, you kill one another. In those religions, you're pedophiles. In those religions, you know what I'm saying? Right. You engage in these sinful activities that decrease and that destroy mankind and civilization itself. It decays from the inside out.
So it's not even in comparison. It's not even close at all. Yeah. In Christianity, Jesus is not telling you go mess with those children. No, not at all. Not even. Correct. Not telling you to kill anybody. Not telling you to do any of those things.
So if we stick into the Old Testament, just talking about it there, because that's the only place you'll find that kind of language, because it's completely transformational in the New Testament. And not to say God is different here than there. It's all about preserving and building up people. In that situation in the past, you're harming people, right? If you go this way. And it says many times when it gives those commandments, it says you have to do this. So you got to stone this person because we can't have evil in the camp. Because if that starts to get inside the camp, then we'll destroy one another. Whereas, like something else might just call you to destroy somebody for who they are, even if what they bring is good, just because they're not you. Does that make sense? I know I'm being kind of vague.
I'm understanding everything you're saying right now. I get it.
Yeah, so it doesn't compare with God at all, because what God does in his commandments, it builds up and it makes the world better.
Right.
Versus building or planting seeds of hatred just for the sake of hatred.
Right.
So it is not comparable. But anyways.
What could have been the better response, or some better responses that they could have given, in your opinion?
I like what you said before. It's hard to know how you will respond when you watch it from a video and you're not really there in person. Mm-hmm. Going from kind of top to bottom, I think when the young man went up to stab him, if there was real safety protocols in play, he probably shouldn't have even made it up there.
Right.
But they should have, apprehended or whatever. They should have pinned him down for sure. Mm-hmm. They should not have continued to try to harm him after he was already restrained. So they shouldn't have acted that way. Then once all that came to be, and instead of the rioting, they should have came together. And if you don't know the information and you're worried about the bishop's health, right, which he ended up being okay, if I'm not mistaken, mm-hmm. But you should be outside praying for this man, right? And there's a young man who's clearly off of the Creator's intended path for him. He's not living in his image as an image bearer. Why not pray for that young man, right? What we don't realize, and again, as a man who has grown up and seen families, friends get thrown into prison for things that they've done, I know how their parents respond to these things and how heartbroken a mother is when they gotta see their son go to prison for the 5th time. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Why not pray for that boy's family? Because they're really going to go through something now that their son is being prosecuted and stuff like that. Whether you agree with his decision or not, there's pain in that boy's family because of his decisions, mm-hmm. right? So that people don't like it, but I think prayer would have been the proper response. And if you're able to help as a nurse or something like that, get in there and help. If you're able to help as a lawyer and you can offer legal assistance, get in there and help. Different stuff like that. But the riot was outrageous.
That's what I was thinking too. I think they honestly, if you can't do nothing, you need to go home. You need to go home. You need to pray. You shouldn't be there outside stomping on police cars' windshields. Like, how does that help?
That's wild.
Like, what gets in your mind? Oh, this looks cool. I'm gonna stomp on that windshield right there,
bro. He's
doing it. I'm gonna do it too. It's acceptable. No, bro. What? You need to go home, pray, get something to eat, and go to sleep. That's what you need to do.
Man,
That's what you need to do. What do you think afterwards? How do you think the media, or let's say it from a big influencer perspective, how do you think they should respond also?
so you're saying like a media personality or something like that?
No, let's go even a different route. If you were someone with an audience, a bigger audience, huge audience, 500K subscribers,
Yeah.
you get attention, people will actually listen to what you have to say. What would you say in that situation, against that situation, or how would you, what would you do in that situation?
Yeah. I would say that it's okay to be upset because there was an injustice. A man's life was assaulted and he could have died. So it's okay to be upset for someone doing a wrong. It is not okay to hate anyone for their actions because the scriptures clearly say, for you too once were in the dark, right? So we can't come into this position of hating a man for his actions, but to respond how God responds to us when we disobey him, the one who can truly be offended. Right. He responds by laying his life down on the cross. So anger is okay, but to allow your anger to produce harm or hatred is not okay.
Right.
So I would say something like that.
So Andrew Tate said something about this. He said, finally, Christians are angry, which I'm pretty sure it happened when the rioting and stuff like that. Finally, you're angry. Finally, you actually stand up. But I don't agree with that. They shouldn't have rioted in that way.
Yeah, if anyone is listening to Andrew Tate on matters of Christianity, then
you got the wrong. You on the wrong side.
No disrespect to my boy.
I like him though. He has some good points.
Sure.
When it has nothing to do with religion.
Exactly.
Right.
Stay in your lane, buddy.
But I think, let's say I had 500,000 people that listen to me, or a bunch of people that listen to me, right? I would, point out the fact that this was supposed to be the religion of peace, the religion of order, the religion that is structured, right? That is the so-called right religion, right? I would have pointed out this is what you advocate for, not in a high horse way, but like just you can't do. Am I seeing this? Are we seeing the same thing? We have to be. Are we seeing the same thing? Is this can't be right? There's no way you believe that whoever wrote the book, I don't know the people that wrote the book, but whoever wrote the book thought this was okay. There's no way. So, and then I would ask those people that follow that religion, why do you think this is okay? Other than, well, you insulted my prophet. Well, he's a human being too. You're above being insulted. No one is above being insulted. Jesus was insulted, and Jesus is God.
Yeah.
So who is Muhammad not to be insulted? If you're willing to go kill somebody over an insult instead of having a genuine conversation, or just disagreeing and ignoring it, then what does that say about you? But I hope whoever listens to this or is on that side clearly sees that and removes the blindfolds off of their eyes, and just, this was not right.
Correct. Yeah. And I would say to anyone who calls themselves a Christian and was a part of the wrong response of rioting and breaking things and all this other stuff, that there's repentance needed in their lives as well.
Right.
So, because that was outrageous.
Most
and
definitely.
to me, is the most disrespectful because I believe that God is the one true God, that the Bible is the standard for our lives, that Jesus Christ is Lord and Savior, and that he requires and deserves our whole being. So I believe that Christianity is true. I believe it is the right way, that Jesus is the only way. And that means that the Islamic faith is not the right way. I also believe that. But if you're trying to help someone understand that this is wrong, the Islamic faith is wrong, and yet you as a Christian respond like this, then what you're being counterproductive.
Almost
And you're
like
yeah, exactly. You're defaming the name of God, and you're pushing people further away from the truth, which to me is more dishonoring to God than anything that a Muslim could do, because they actively say that Christianity is not the right way. But you say that it is, and then you show people what it's not,
right,
which is way more dangerous. It's hypocrisy.
At least they actually stay in their ways. They solid on your ways, and you're
Yeah. Well, if that's what a Christian is, and for years that's how I lived, man.
right.
I hated church people because I saw what they did on the other side of the church doors. You know what I mean? And I'm like, well, that don't make no sense. So I can't mess with them people. At least these other people don't lie to me. These people lie to my face.
Right.
You know what I mean? So anyway, I have a real hatred towards hypocrisy. So anyways.
I want to make this clear for everybody. We are not. I'm sure there are things that we also do that could be put into hypocrisy. We might say we're going to go do laundry tomorrow. Don't do it. We might say we're going to go pray at 12 o'clock. We might not do it. We might pray later. We might not. We are not above that as well. But this type, most definitely, especially like you're smacking a kid. Yeah, what are you doing? You got caught on camera on top of that too. What are you doing? Like, what's up? You got to do better. We all have to do better. We all have to. One, the most solid thing that we have to learn from this is have some security. Have some security. let's just, or have somebody that's like paying attention to things like that, and be mindful of people that are new. It doesn't mean like be scared and push them away, but pay attention. Especially if you got an audience, a big audience, and you have people that are people that like listen to you online, and you say some things that could make some people upset. Get some security. Don't. I understand the Lord protects you, of course, but nothing is wrong with having some security. Yeah, right. Nothing's wrong with that. Having some metal detectors at the door, making sure everybody's okay.
We can't afford that at my congregation, but somebody might be able to.
Right.
Mari might be able to.
Right. Come on now. You got come on. You got to do better with that. You got to be better with your safety, and not only your safety, but the people that are attending your church's safety. Other people got stabbed too. Other people were afraid too. People should be safe. You should be keeping the Lord's house safe. You should be keeping the people that go to the Lord's house safe.
Amen. Yeah.
And that guy that threw the ladder in that video, bro, stop. What is wrong with you? You need some rethinking. He
had to be pretty strong.
Yeah. I want you all to know that this is not a call to hate Muslims. This is not a call to hate anybody. This is a call to keep your eyes open, because persecution is coming. Persecution is here, especially if you're building up your social media and your audience is getting bigger, and you're saying things people might not like. Persecution is coming. Doesn't mean be afraid of it, but just be mindful. Things are going to happen. People might come knocking at your door with a sword. So it'd be nice to have it would be nice to have a sword too.
Okay.
It'd be nice to have a sword too. Only in self-defense.
Hey, if that's how you rock, I guess.
Well, Is there anything else we wanted to go over?
No, man, I think we tried to do our best to definitely walk around a minefield. It's very difficult to talk about something like righteous anger and how we ought to respond and different things like that. So I commend you for even being willing to talk about it and bring it up. So, no, man, I don't have anything else to say other than that.
All right. Well, I've always liked tiptoeing around the minefields myself.
Hey, you're a dangerous kid.
It's okay. Well, this is the Youth Discipleship Podcast. I'm here with Devin once again, and God bless.